Crushing the socials, rushing through Ukraine, touching the locals. Quasi-Kodo, touching the coastals. Ethiopia, touching the opals. And quasi-nobles. Let's go. Let's go. Red pillar. Crushing the socials, rushing through Ukraine, touching the locals. Quasi-Kodo, touching the coastals. Ethiopia, touching the opals. And quasi-nobles, kissing the ring. You niggas is Google, I'm ChatGPT mixed with a Bing. Lift every voice without lifting a thing. The baby was born with the gift it could sing. I'm the less Elon, straight out of Pelon. I'm victory lapping, watching history happen, mystery cracking. It's the elitists attacking the fetus. They packing the seats up, cracking like Cephas. They say it won't happen again, like yeah, getting back with Adidas. He back with the heaters, back in the sweepers, all black like a pack of fajitas. Used to get stacks for the features, now niggas they pay us with straps on the back of their sneakers just to come slack with the teachers. We made them a promise and made us some comments. They paid us some homage. We married the game and they gave us Madonna. No maiden, no honor. Rebuking the priesthood like Sinead O'Connor. If I take the breath, God gave you to breathe. And remove the air from the wind and the breeze. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. I injured his knee. Train the blood you got in you that bleeds. Chop the tree of knowledge down and pick up the leaves. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. I injured his knee. As I mumble on Pro Tools. Spaceship I could hover and cloak to. I abducted and probe you. Fly till I got the tongue of a toad too. On the rumble with Goku. It wasn't even close. I thought somebody told you. I'd be munching on gold shroom till I grow you. Like I jumped on a toadstool. Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. I'm hearing I'm the fairest of them all. I clearly am a pharaoh and a god. There is no comparing me to y'all. Repeat a mantra manifesting wealth. So me and all my family have held. Destroy the world and build it back better. My mind, I build a planet by myself. Unbelievable. I'm achieving the unachievable. I'm conceiving the unconceivable. All the demons I summon speak Hebrew. We play peekaboo. Unpredictable. Unexplainable. Inexplicable. Undefinable. Undescriptable. Underrated. Unequivocal. Unforgivable. Feeling like I become invisible. Underground like the mud and mineral. Industry is so fucking pitiful. Only signing the thoughts and criminal. Honestly, I would love to kill a few. Treat around like a blood and crip would do. Get it screwed, I will punch the principal. Treat the system like what would Hitler do. If I take the breath God gave you to breathe. And remove the air from the wind and the breeze. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. I injured his knee. Train the blood you got in you that bleeds. Chop the tree of knowledge down and pick up the leaves. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. I injured his knee. Dodge in the rainstorms gotta be chained on, frozen like brain freeze. Golden like 18, swollen like 18. From the borough where they take cream. Shit, we throw in the mainstreams. Leaving niggas sniffing in state greens. Look, you're sweeter than pastries, cheaping on lace squeeze. Got a nigga face ski. Say cheese, had to rub it in like grapeseed. Pillar bleed blue like Grape Street. Spitting over rape beats, slipping off her waist beats. I got the gas, baked beans. God is a nap that can make memes. God in an app, make cream. I got it in the bag, rake leaves. I did dirt since my late teens. Now it's a must if we stay clean. Establish trust, stay cream. Added up with no late fees. Mad as fuck when you waste cream. It's adding up through the late fees. Mars attack, that's a space beat. Mars attack like a hate speech. Mars intact like we make drinks. Mars is back like a lace string. Look, roll up some trees, we can pour up some tea. Flow like a CD, you know that it's me. Pablo appearing on Holy Ghost 3. Throw us a beat, we go bon appetit. A home, I'm a beast on the road, I'm a freak. We don't flow, we don't speak, that's the code of the street. If I take the breath, God give you to breathe. And remove the air from the wind and the breeze. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. I injured his knee. Train the blood you got in you that bleeds. Chop the tree of knowledge down and pick up the leaves. Superman to turn to Christopher Reeve. I injured his knee.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh-huh. That's right, that's right, that's right. There you have it, family. There you have it. That is our good brother Cambada featuring the one and only Red and Blue Pillars on the track entitled Breathless off of the album Holy Ghost 3. Soon to be streaming on your streaming platforms on March 9th. But if you can't wait until the streaming platforms, go and support independent rap. Go and support your independent artists. Go and support people who are basically doing it the way that it's supposed to be done. Go and support the disruptors. You feel me? Because that's what we out here doing. We disrupting things, and we are standing very strong against the quote unquote tides of the old model of the industry. Shout out to Kanye West with his album Vultures Volume 1. I didn't even know that it was independent. Come to find out that he um he released this album through his imprint Yeezy. YZY. The same website that holds his Yeezy Pods, which is his those sock sneakers and whatnot. So he's basically about to shake up the whole music industry if they allow him to get a number one. What I mean by that is that they're making a lot of moves right now. They've been taking the album off of the streaming platforms. They beefing with him about clearances and samples and whatnot. This Peckerwood, this sodomite, this Satanist called Ozzy Osbourne. Y'all might have, a lot of people was introduced to Ozzy Osbourne through MTV when they was rebranding his satanic ass. But prior to that, you feel me? For those of us who grew up in the 80s and whatnot, Ozzy Osbourne was he's a Satanist. He used to bite the head off of bats and shit like that. Like he used to drink blood. He's a Satanist and he's racist, allegedly. This nigga has the nerve to talk about Kanye West. He don't like him, so he don't want to clear his request for a sample. Well, what really is the deal is that Mr. Ozzy Osbourne is an Ashkenazi, so is Gene Simmons from Kiss and things of that nature. So they just in their fields and whatnot, and they think that they could it's not probably even their choice. They probably were told by their handlers, or I think all people of that background was told you can't rock out and do anything with the homie. Henceforth, why a lot of people that he surrounds himself with right now, his band of vultures, the majority of those people are not underneath the control, and they're not underneath the contracts, and they're not underneath the quote unquote, the deodorant of these powerful players in the music industry and in Hollywood. Feel me? So I think that I think Ozzy Osbourne, Donna Summers, her estate, they're playing a big part with trying to get the album taken down. But if and then you got Usher's album that they're trying to make number one, and you got that goddamn Beyonce country shit trying to be number one. So if Ye is able to make a number one album and it was independent and he's supposed to be canceled and it was hands off Ye because your masters told you that, right? Not you particularly, but you know what I'm saying. So if he's able to buck that, then it's going to be a black eye for the industry. And what a way to start 2024, right? What a way to start 2024, right? They don't want that. They don't want that. You know what I'm talking about? So they're going to do whatever they could do to sabotage that man. And we're watching it go down right now, right now. You feel me? Should I play some background music? I had that on my video yesterday. How do y'all like that? Is that something that people are into? The little background music and whatnot. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Salute to everyone. You dig? Yeah, let me know if that's something that y'all want me to do. To do. Sound like I'm from B more to do. You know. Um, yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you want the background noise, we'll throw the background. But going back to this whole thing with the Ye situation, that example that he is setting is an example that we will follow. I do not intend on putting out this album or this project that we're working on through, like, I'm not bent off of going through these streaming services like that. You know what I mean? Like, we might eventually acquiesce and utilize them, but I'm not really pressed like that. You feel me? I'd rather go to be honest with you, I'd rather go out the trunk on some back in the days type shit. Like, I'd rather get it out the mud, bro, before we go ahead and rely on these streaming services that are literally robbing artists. If you saw the goddamn business plan of the, you would be you would probably say slavery is back. You know what I mean? It's real arcane, like super duper old. It is robbery at its finest. So F all of that. You know what I mean? I feel bad for the artists who are being subjected to basically eating your whole, the way that you recouping those millions of dollars that the labels are throwing at you, the way that you are basically, you really on a hamster wheel right now. It don't make no sense. They actually got you working harder than you probably would have been working when you were selling physical copies of your music and whatnot. So music is kind of dead. Not to blow the trumpet on it and whatnot. But if you realize what's taking place in the industry or the music business, people are selling, they're not selling their albums, they're selling their brand. Okay. So there's a pivot now because the brand is the marketable item. The album or the music project, theoretically, that's the soundtrack. And that's really just like the promo. That's the lead magnet. That's the lead magnet. That is all it is. It is really, it's not a plate anymore. You're the plate, the person, the brand, you personally, you the plate, you selling yourself. And the music is the key to get you in the door. You know, when you going on the elevator in a hotel and you got to have the elevator key in order to get to the penthouse, that's what some of this music is. Don't have a hit. You got a hit, you going to the penthouse. If you put a hit out, then yes, your ass is going straight up to the upper room and whatnot. And that's where you can mix and mingle with your investors and your sponsors and your endorsers and the people that have the bag, right? That is how the model of the music industry that we know of today, that's how that kind of works. But this new model that I'm talking about, the model of the independent artist, you don't gotta wait for all of that shit, man. Your music and your face, your brand is gonna be monetized, and your art is gonna be monetized. I come from a world where I'm sensitive about my art. I'm not giving my shit away for no compensation. You must be out of your rabbit ass mind. People they really think that this what because the art that I put out, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my art. I'm not gonna put out no lackluster art. I'm not just throwing shit out there. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I literally got classics. Where's my, like, no cap? I got classics, and I didn't self-anoint myself as the person who makes classic projects and whatnot. That's what the people said. So that shit takes time. It's meticulous. You know what I'm talking about? It's a meticulous task and whatnot to craft up a classic. So you think I'm gonna make a classic and just throw that shit out there for what? For fame, to be notarized and whatnot, for notoriety? Nah, that ain't how we moving in 2024. Why would you move like that? Why should you move like that? I think that's egregious. Everybody is a rapper, but I'm not a rapper. I'm a hip hop artist. That's the difference. I'm not a rapper, never was a rapper, never want to be a rapper, don't want to be associated with rap, don't want to stand next to no rapper. I do not want to confuse anybody. I'm not none of that. I'm just an artist. Same way I could pick a pencil up and draw some shit, there's the same way I could pick a pen up and write some shit. It's the same way I could get in front of a typewriter and type some shit. It's the same way I could pick up a paintbrush and paint some shit. It's the same thing. It's all art. That's what I do. The same thing. I could put art on clothes. I could put art on cotton. I could put art on a canvas. I could put art on a loose leaf piece of paper. It's really all art. You cannot ever tell an artist when they could stop making art. You can't never you can you how Sway, like, unless you can't tell an artist when they can stop making art. That's like telling a swimmer when they could stop swimming. You don't have any rights, none whatsoever. You have no rights. You have no quote unquote jurisdiction over one of another human being's creative process. You know what I mean? People should really reserve their opinions and whatnot and keep it to themselves, because there's no way anyone could stop me from making art. I don't give a fuck if I lose my hands, my feet, and everything. I will still find a way to make art. You know what I mean? Because that's my therapy. That is my love language. And that's how I'm able to express myself. And the way that my body is built, if I can't express myself, then, I might implode. Might implode. I'm not a, if I can't express myself, whatever environment I'm in, it's not safe. Okay. I need to be able to emote, to express myself, to get shit off my chest, because I keep a lot of shit bottled in. You know what I mean? I keep a lot of shit bottled in. I absorb things, I absorb frequencies, I absorb energies, I absorb a lot. I take a lot on the chin. So my outlet is a canvas, it's a t-shirt, piece of cotton, and it's in the booth. It's when I pick up a camera, and it's this shit right here. You know what I mean? Because this is a form of art, the communication. You gotta have communication skills in order to sit here and chop it up and kick it. But we're gonna do this art, and we're gonna do this shit to the highest level. And yeah, man, we're gonna make it happen. Lemonade, yeah, that's the white boy. Cole Bennett, I believe. That's the white boy. And he does a few things on the independent side. He's a director, a good director at that. He's an artist. Nothing to take away from him. Contrary to popular belief, I don't have no prejudices whatsoever against any other man on this planet, man, woman, or child. I do not. Contrary to popular belief, people might think I do, but I do not. You know what I mean? I don't love everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on that type of vibe. I'm not on that type of time. I'm not the fucking Dalai Lama, but I damn sure don't hate anybody. I don't got hate in my heart, because what does that help? Me hating somebody, how the hell does that change their disposition in life? How could that affect them unless I act on the hate? I don't hate anybody, and I don't love everybody. I respect everyone's right for expression. I respect everybody's right for existence. I respect everybody's right to abundance. You know what I mean? Like, if I think that the whole world deserves to, explore and to receive everything that their hand calls for. You know, I will never get in the way of that. You know what I'm talking about? I would never get in the way of that. That's way above me. I have nothing to do with that. Salute to everybody out there doing what they do. Salute to all of the artists. I don't care your color, your creed, your pedigree, your background. Salute to all of the creatives. Salute to everybody that's putting points up on the board and whatnot. As long as you're not playing on the other side against me. Because I told somebody this the other day. Life is chess. You know? Life is chess. If anybody was at Melanin Monday when I was interviewing Six Goddess and whatnot, I shared that analogy with her about the chessboard and whatnot. And I was like, look, people be talking about what they be talking about, and they be saying this and they be saying that. But you have to maintain the mind state that this shit is a game of chess. And in the game of chess, the most important piece on the board is the queen. It's not about me, you know? It's really not about me when you put it in perspective. The most important piece on the board is the queen. And if the queen gets checkmated, it's game over. Henceforth, why, and I'm not saying this in a crazy type of way, not saying this in a crazy type of way, but men, if your woman cheated on you, would you take her back? Is there a way that y'all could work that out? You know what I mean? If she was on some Fannie Mae shit, if she was on Fannie Wilson time, and she went ahead and stepped out on you and let a nigga get on top of her. You know what I'm talking about? Or get on some Usher Raymond shit. Let a nigga get behind her and she tilted her head back like her work husband. If he winds up scoring and whatnot, 9 times out of 10, you got checkmated. They're game over. It's game over. There's no coming back from that. At least where I'm from, your woman step out on you, you're not gonna just say, you know what, babe, I could let that shit slide and whatnot because I got love for you and every my nigga. Let me talk to you real quick. But on some Cardi B Offset type shit, and I've seen this happen on many occasions and whatnot. If the man winds up stepping out, and I'm not here to I'm not utilizing no type of discrimination, or I'm not being misogynistic whatsoever. I am engaging my audience. I have to do the disclaimer thing because I'm mindful of people's feelings. You feel me? I'm a public figure speaking on a public stage and whatnot. So I'm not just going to be rambling and whatnot and disrespect married women who may be listening to this show with their husbands, or I'm not going to disrespect married men listening to this show with their wives and whoever else may be listening to this. So I'm using caution, I'm using precaution when I'm making a point, right? So there's been occasions in the public, and there's been occasions that I've witnessed in real life and whatnot where men have stepped out and they've been taken back by their quote unquote wives, girlfriends, baby mamas, whatever you call it, because it's an understanding that it's not necessarily game over. They get forgiven, things work out, and they live on happily ever after. But there's been situations where women have been accused of being, they've been caught with infidelity, and that shit can turn fatal. You understand? It could turn fatal, crimes of passion and whatnot. And once that man has to deal with the quote unquote reality of somebody being with his queen, yeah, the game is over. It's a checkmate. Our women, right? Our women go to work. Well, not mine and probably not yours, but women, black women in particular, they are now in the workforce, right? Working for another man. Most of the time, the boss is a man. Working for another man, usually from another nationality, whether he European, Asian, Indian, you know what I mean? But usually it's a man of another nationality whose business is feeding his family, his progeny, his bloodline. His wife is eating off of the hard work that you putting in. Okay. And as a man who understands the game of chess, and that on the chessboard that the queen could move places where the king can't move. I said it before. The queen could go in rooms that if the king went in there, they would cut the king's head off, because remember, kings get decapitated, right? There's certain rooms and there's certain avenues that queens could travel down. There's certain roads that you could go down that we just can't go down. There's certain doors that open up for you and they let you in, and they won't let the king in. However, I said it on Monday that if you, as a queen, make sure you have a bishop with you. Make sure you have some type of quote unquote protection when you go in those rooms, because them niggas will checkmate you when you're in the other room. Now, if life is a game of chess, my $1 million question is,
Well, God damn it, who's on the other side? It must be two sides. There's protagonists and there's antagonists in the game of chess. What up, Afro Goddess? I see you changed your name back. You got protagonists and you got antagonists. There's an opposition somewhere. There's an op somewhere. There's an opposite side somewhere. There's ebony pieces and there's ivory pieces for a reason. So queens should be protected at all time. What does a woman say that she want from her king? Security, and she wants the king to provide and whatnot. In the game of chess, what role is the king playing in the whole game? He's protecting the queen, even to the point where he'll sacrifice himself to make sure that the queen, okay, to make sure that the queen is able to be saved, right? The king will even take himself and die. He will fall on his sword to make sure that the queen does not get checkmated. So theoretically speaking, when black men, right, because I always refer to this or deter to this, when black men have a disposition about seeing their women with other people from other races and other nationalities, subtly there's this feeling that boom, checkmate. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. You know, we're not the same. And I'm not going to get, once again, I'm not going to get all in my bag and people are like, oh, that sounds, no, we're not the same. One is two genders. It's two genders. One gender gives and the other gender receives, right? The plug is not the same as the socket. AC is not the same as DC. They are complementary of one another. However, there's a clear difference in their quote unquote polarities. They are the same. They are one and the same. Like somebody broke it down the other day that there is really no thing as binary. It's just two extremes of the same thing. And that's really what we are. We not the same, but we the same being. We are the same exact being, two different polarities of the quote unquote poles and whatnot. Okay, two different polarities of the poles who complement one another, right? That's why they say opposites attract. That's why, it's a fork and a spoon. You know what I'm talking about? Two suns don't make a moon, and two moons don't make a sun. Man, woman, and child, sun, moon, and stars and whatnot. The natural quote unquote formula has been working for I would say 20 billion years, about 20 billion. So I doubt that it's going to change and whatnot, even in these days and times that we're living in as we move forward, where I said before, if not our generation, definitely our children's generation, they're going to share the planet with humanoids. They're going to share the planet with transhumanism, with transhumans, not transsexuals. Transsexuals are going to evolve into transhumans. Okay. So they're going to share the world with somebody that was basically integrated with machine and whatnot. That's what the future holds. And you're going to walk amongst humanoids, right? Intelligent life forms that are not human and whatnot. Robots, embodied robots. That's what the children are going to be amongst. And we'll see it happen in our lifetime. We will see it take place in our lifetime. Real spooky, you know? But right now, as it stands on the chessboard of life, if you don't know who your enemy is, then you bound to get checkmated quicker than those who know their enemy. That's just a no-brainer. Study your enemy the same way that you would study the other chess player who might fuck around and beat you with 3 moves and whatnot. You got to study, you sit down and you watch them play. You study them. In basketball, they study their opponents. In boxing, they watch tapes and whatnot. They study their opponents. In football, in soccer, you got to study you have to study your opponent. You can't look away from them. You have to study them. You got to know their weaknesses. And one thing that I do know, and I share this with the family on many occasions and whatnot, those people study us. They study everything about us. Cat Williams said it on the Willie D show, how much they study the messianic ones amongst us because they're looking for the Messiah. Cat Williams said it, not Rich Phil. Cat Williams said it. He said that they have budgets in the tune of millions and billions of dollars. There's 17 letter organizations, and a letter organization is like DEA, ATF, FBI, CIA, NSA, shit like that. It's like 17 of them, right? And of the 17 of them, like 15 of them are dealing with domestic intelligence and domestic surveillance of you know who the like if you really think about it, these agency exists and they've been existing for the longest, right? Who the fuck do you think they're looking at? Who do you think all of these budgets are going? Because they never arrested no goddamn terrorists in America. They not looking at they not looking at the terroristic organizations of these Europeans because they're helping to protect them. They're not looking for the cartel and things of that. They not looking for that. They're not surveilling these people because if they were surveilling these people, it would be a lot more results. There would be cleaner streets. We would see news reports every day of their quote unquote, you know, of the fact that they broke up this cell and they locked this they destroyed this. They not no. Don't fall for the okie doke and don't fall for the photo ops where they just pop up every now and then with some crash test dummies that they caught a few keys off of. No, these people are behind all of this shit. These people are behind all of this shit. And they're watching us like scientists are watching mice inside of a lab, inside of a petri dish. Okay, that's how they study us. That's how they study us, you know. So that's worth knowing. I'm gonna show you something real quick just to show you how much we're being studied and whatnot. I'm gonna show you something because last episode we were talking about what's my dude Patrick Moynihan. I should have gave a homework assignment and whatnot so we could really get to this shit. I should have gave a homework assignment, but I talked about Patrick Moynihan and a report that came out in the 60s called the Negro Problem. And the Negro Problem was groundbreaking when they dropped it and whatnot, because the Negro Problem is it's a literature, it's a report that they're using to this day. They made think tanks off of this report. Okay, policy was drafted off of this report. This report really moved the needle, y'all. It did. It really did. So prior to the report, right? Prior to what my guy did, right? Patrick Moynihan, right? Rest in piss because he's no longer around, right? What had happened was this man right here, he has an experiment called Universe 25, right? Universe 25, okay? So this was an experiment that was taking place right around the time when they were executing and assassinating the messianic ones or the messiahs, right? That's what they were doing while they were uprooting the movement and whatnot, and while they were, systematically taking it apart and destroying it and neutralizing it. They had their social engineers and their scientists doing reports. So the Universe 25 is a series of rodent experiments that showed that even with abundant food and water, personal space is essential to prevent societal collapse. Listen, personal space is essential to prevent societal collapse. So what did they do after this? They went ahead and started building the projects. They went and did the opposite of what this report is showing, right? I'm going to get into the report, but I'm going to preface it before I get into it. As you can see, this is Mr. Calhoun and whatnot, and he's standing in his rodent utopia, right? He built a rodent utopia, right? And it turned from utopia into dystopia, okay? And he was studying the behaviors of these mice. But it was a very interesting study that he partook that he initiated with the mice. And this study, right, was studied extensively, right? It's studied extensively by city planners, social engineers, social workers, politicians, and many, many other people, right? And like I said, after this report came out, they started putting our people, because prior to that, they had Europeans in the projects or public housing. But after this, they started making that push to get our people inside of this public housing shit, these projects, and stack them on top of each other, like how you see in Chicago and New York. And then Norman Lear comes out with Good Times, right? Which was depicting a family in Cabrini Green. Okay, he gives you Good Times, and then they're pushing all of this public housing shit on our people. But let me read this real quick. June the 22nd, 1972, John Calhoun stood over the abandoned husk of what has been a thriving metropolis of thousands. Now the population had dwindled to just 122, and soon even these inhabitants would be dead. Calhoun wasn't the survivor of a natural disaster or nuclear meltdown. Rather, he was a researcher at the National Institute of Mental Health, conducting an experiment into the fields of overcrowding on mouse behavior. The results, laid bare at his feet, had taken years to play out. Right? It's a long game. In 1968, Calhoun had started the experiment by introducing 4 mouse couples into a specially designed pen, a veritable rodent garden of Eden, with numerous apartments, abundant nesting supplies, and unlimited food and water. You remember I was talking about they gave these niggas Walmart, they gave these niggas Target, they gave these niggas Sam Club, they gave them goddamn Blue Ranch and they little chicken wings. They gave them Domino's Pizza. They gave them Uber Eats. They gave them all of these houses that they could rent out here in Atlanta and other places and whatnot. And then, because people think that these are the quote unquote, once you have that, you got it made. You know what I mean? Food, clothing, and shelter. People are under the impression that that's all you need and whatnot. But let's continue. The only scarce resource in this microcosm was physical space. And Calhoun suspected that it was only a matter of time before this caused trouble in paradise. Calhoun had been running similar experiments with rodents for decades, but had always had to end them prematurely, ironically because of laboratory space constraints. This iteration, dubbed Universe 25, was the first crowding experiment he ran to completion. As he had anticipated, the utopia became hellish nearly a year in, when the population density began to peak, and then population growth abruptly and dramatically slowed. Animals became increasingly violent, developed abnormal sexual behaviors, and began neglecting or even attacking their own pups. Calhoun termed this breakdown of social order a behavioral sink. So when you hear this term, know where it comes from. Behavioral sink. That's what Memphis is right now. That's what Detroit is right now. That's what the Bronx is right now. That's what Atlanta is right now. That's what Texas, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth. That's what quote unquote St. Louis is, a behavioral sink. Okay. That's what Los Angeles is. Eventually, Universe 25 took another disturbing turn. Mice born into the chaos couldn't form normal social bonds or engage in complex social behaviors such as courtship, mating, and pup rearing. Now, Valentine's Day was yesterday, and we got some people in the building and whatnot. I want to ask y'all, right? Being that Valentine was yesterday, right? And we have social media now, so we're able to observe the different generations and how they get down and their proclivities, right? So I want to ask the ladies in the audience and whatnot. Shout out to all of y'all beautiful goddesses and queens out there in the audience. Can you share with us with the KT aliens? Do young men, and I don't know the different, is it Generation Z and all of that? I don't get into all of those namings of the generations. I just know the younger generation. Are they good at expressing themselves? Are they antisocial, or are they very social? Are they social butterflies? You know what I mean? Antisocial is one, social butterflies is two. Can you just put the number in the chat room if they're either one of those, super antisocial, or two, social butterflies, meaning they're extroverted, they're very outgoing, they're very talkative. They're the life of the party. Let me know while we take this social experiment as we read about a social experiment. Go, 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 go. Okay, so we have a 1, right? We have a 1 because I don't want to speculate. I don't want to judge. I don't want to generalize, right? I just want to ask questions. Okay. I just want to ask questions. And I'm of the impression that these youth and whatnot, they don't, they're a part of, it's showing in this experiment. Okay. So the mice born into the chaos, right? Because remember, there's generations such as myself. Okay. The generations such as myself, I wasn't born into the chaos. I won't consider myself, my generation wasn't necessarily born into what they call the chaos. We were born into poverty, and we were born in the remnants of the assassinations and the uprising and all of that. I was born in 75, so 69, 68, 70, those were some real tumultuous years and whatnot, because it dealt with a lot of pain, it dealt with a lot of trauma. There was a sexual revolution, there was a counterculture revolution, there was all of the assassinations of MLK, JFK, RFK, Malcolm X, and all of these things, and people were traumatized. And then not to mention you have Vietnam. But what we're talking about, being born into the chaos, that would more so be children being born into the crack era, children being born into the chaos of the crack era. Most importantly, that would be the era that I'm speaking about. That's the times that were more disturbing than the times that I was born in. That's the chaos. So the children of that era is what I'm speaking of. Those are the children that I want to point out. Those, the 80s babies and whatnot, how they moving, how they getting down. What the fuck are they talking about? You know what I'm saying? What are their social skills? How do they socialize? What are their proclivities? What are their proclivities? Because everything is in this experiment is showing you how people are developing based off of their environment, right? Different generations are developing differently based off of their surroundings and whatnot. DNA responds to environment. Keep in mind, these are scientists, these are engineers. They're studying us and then they're implementing the quote unquote studies. Oh, here we go.
This is one of the types of lack of involvement, of
Tell me if you can
total
hear.
withdrawal from the reality of the environment that's compatible with that species.
What, 2,400 mice in this
Something
enclosure?
of the order, we don't know exactly what it is now. It's between 2,200 and 2,500 mice, that is bodies, moving bodies, but there are really only about 150 mice in here. Real mice, that is mice who are in the social swim. All the others have been rejected in one way or another.
What's happened?
In which reproductive behavior is completely inhibited. It's inhibited because the last few hundred maintained them as juveniles, and although they're now adults, they no longer engage in aggressive behavior or in reproductive behavior. And we call them the beautiful ones because they're so excellent physically, they're unstressed. I see one down here. Most of these live in the apartment houses and rarely come out, but I see one who's taken temporary refuge in one of the nesting material supply cans, and I'll go over and pull him out so that you can see what a beautiful specimen this animal is.
But as far as the mouse is concerned, he's a nothing? Is that?
He's a total nothing.
Okay, can you?
Look at this shit. It's a whole world that they set up.
Now here he is lying
for these mice.
in the
Universe 25.
Ahead,
Universe
here
25.
he
You
is
can go
lying
and
in
Google
the,
it yourself.
can.
Do your due
Please,
diligence and research.
Temporary retreat. He's colored, very few, practically no wounds. He's in excellent physical shape. He has 2 or 3 nicks, but compared to most of the animals, he's in excellent shape. And these animals, from previous study, shows that they are unstressed. They're just not here insofar as involvement.
Stated that you started this experiment with just a few mice some 20 months ago. Apparently, you've been able to dissect some. Have you noticed any changes in tissue?
Well, the major thing,
Stress.
the major thing, well, certain classes of these, for instance, comparing these males on the floor here who are withdrawn, they are highly stressed animals. But the stress comes from each other because of this peculiar violence that they exhibit, which leaves them as this animal with his tail all chewed up, but they do it to each other. These are highly stressed individuals. On the other hand, the beautiful one, which I just showed you, are very extremely unstressed. And we've run the Dr. Julius Axelrod has run
The stressed ones and the unstressed
assay
ones.
of the
Hold
enzyme
on.
which converts
The
noradrenaline
stressed ones
to adrenaline.
and the unstressed ones. So to break down what he's talking about right now, right? There was a class called the beautiful ones of the mice, right? Let me read you that. Eventually, Universe 25 took another disturbing turn. Mice born into the chaos couldn't form normal social bonds or engage in complex social behaviors such as courtship, mating, and pup rearing. The reason why I brought up Valentine's Day is because I was asking y'all, about the courtship. You know what I mean? Are the younger people better at courtship than the old heads, right? Like you got women saying, I'm looking for a dude with the salt and pepper in their beard and whatnot. I need an older man, because the older men on the dating scene, they know how to court the woman more than these young niggas, because they're completely lost. Allegedly, that's what the ladies are telling me. I'm not out here dating and whatnot, but that's what they're saying. They're saying that the old heads or the older heads, the unks in them, right? The shay niggas, they are the ones who women are trying to, that they're drawn to, because they have more of a social, quote unquote, they have a more social, they're socially mature, right? They know how to court the women. They know what women want, versus the 18, 19, 20, 20, 20, 30, up to like the 30s and whatnot. They like, yeah, them dudes is not really they're a little different than the ones that precede them, right? So I'm tying that in with this experiment to share with you that this experiment is not, it is not by happenstance. They took the results of this experiment and they implemented in our everyday lives, okay, through the means of social engineering, right? Redlining. We're going to keep a group of people within a certain mile radius on top of each other, around one another. We're not going to allow them to expand too much further, similar to how you see this guy has a controlled environment. So redlining created in a controlled environment. We'll space them out for about 50 blocks. And then we're going to put them in Harlem and the Bronx on top of each other. We're going to stack them like Lego blocks. Maybe not the first generation, but definitely by the third generation, they're going to be homosexuals, which are the beautiful ones that he's calling the beautiful ones. He said they don't want to procreate. They laid up all day and whatnot. They weren't about, they're into vanity. How is a mouse into vanity? He said that the beautiful ones are not stressed out. That's like the LBGT community. They are not, they just laid up. They're not as stressed out as somebody who may be homeless. They're not as stressed out as somebody who may be, in survival mode and whatnot. They take care of one another. They chilling. They're the beautiful ones. They're more about primming and proper. They're more about, fashion and whatnot. They want to get fly. You know what I mean? They want to wear designer. You feel me? And they just want to take pictures all day and be beautiful. Right? All right. Instead of interacting with their peers, the males compulsively groom themselves. Females stop getting pregnant, right? So, what do you think that is? What does that sound like in today's society? Instead of interacting with their peers, males compulsively groom themselves and females stop getting pregnant. Effectively, says Ramsden, they became trapped in an infantile state of early development, even when removed from Universe 25 and introduced to normal mice. Ultimately, the colony died out. Species terminus is what they call it. That's the scientific term. Species terminus. There's no recovery, and that's what's so shocking to Calhoun, right? So once it collapses, there's no bringing it back, right? Once the colony collapsed, he couldn't save them. Calhoun wasn't shy about anthropomorphizing his findings, bending rodents into categories such as juvenile delinquents and social dropouts. Come on now. And others seized on these human parallels. Population growth in the 1970s was swelling, and films such as Soylent Green tapped into growing fears of overpopulation and urban violence. In a 2011 article, Ramsden writes that Calhoun's studies were brandished by others to justify population control efforts largely targeted at poor and marginalized communities. You don't say. You don't say. But Ramsden notes that Calhoun didn't necessarily think humanity was doomed. In some of Calhoun's other crowding experiments, rodents developed innovative tunneling behaviors, while in others, adding more rooms allowed the animals to live in a high density environment without being forced into unwanted contact with others, largely minimizing the negative social consequences. According to Ramsden, Calhoun wanted these findings to influence the architectural designs of, listen, prisons, mental hospitals, and other buildings prone to crowding. Writing in a report summary in 1979, Calhoun noted that no single area of intellectual effort can exert a greater influence on human welfare than that contributing to better design of the built environment, right? Like I said a minute ago, environment or DNA responds to environment. Okay. So there's no question. They said it themselves. We don't have to speculate. We don't have to question, and we don't have to. Oh, wait a minute. I wasn't even sharing the page. My bad. I'm reading all of this, and I wasn't even sharing the page. Let me see something. We don't got to question what's going on because they're telling it to you right in your face, right? They're sharing it to you right in your face. They're not hiding anything. Okay. So this is Universe 25, the experiment from 1968 to 1973. This is my guy right here, John Calhoun, right? John Calhoun, he went all the way to the Vatican. Okay. They gave him a special medal in the Vatican. I wonder why, right? So he's the social engineer who's basically helping with his experiments to show through the mice how this shit really relates to.
For this. Uh, on the other hand, we've been removing females from other populations just terminated and looking at their uteri. And for animals up to a year of age who've come up in the latter history of the colonies, there's essentially no evidence of conceiving. So there's at this stage, this is part of the overliving phenomenon. And it's these individuals who are not conceiving are the ones which are not stressed. They're the beautiful ones who lack involvement. So that's the essential story of what's going on in our studies.
Have you been surprised, Doctor, about the results of this, what you've learned so far? Some 20 months ago, did you think all these things were going to happen?
Well, I had a slightly different hypothesis which held true only in the early stages, and this was that the larger the space, the smaller the ultimate population density. That's proved not to be true, but a second aspect of that hypothesis was that the larger the space with reference to the number of colonizers, the slower it would get started. And this has been true because the essential analogy here is that when there are few animals, as in this particular universe, a male, any mouse when he was out would rarely meet another. And therefore, he identified with all of his physical environment. Mm-hmm. So his own ego boundaries extended out to include all of these things, which he was committed to. And therefore, any other animal coming out and moving towards any portion of that would elicit anxiety and therefore aggression. And we have huge territories, and this is an essential formulation of territoriality. So that in the larger the
Right. So as you can see, if I was a city planner, right, in the red line district, like in Chicago or one of these big cities and whatnot, I would basically go and get that study, right? Let me show you how that study, let me show you what it looks like, right? When the studies are basically presented as a research paper. Okay, so here you go. This is the research paper, the University of Chicago Press Journals and whatnot. So this is a whole research paper. Okay. So they basically have the breakdown from rodent utopia to urban hell, population, pathology, and the crowded rats of NIMH. Now, NIMH, right? For anybody who is familiar with MIMH, you would be like, damn, that reminds me of something. There was a movie, right? What was the movie with the rats? Was it The Adventures of Nim? There's an animated movie, right? That plays off of the MIMH, just to show you how these people play games, right? The experiment was about the rats, right? Let me show you something. This is how Hollywood comes in. This is how they talk to each other. MIMH, right? There goes the movie right there. Boom. The Secret of Them. You know what I mean? So now you got to go back and watch this movie again, because basically this movie was based off of the Universe 25. It's based off of the report. Okay? It's based off of the report, y'all. Right? So that's how they speak to each other through animation. And I've said it before that animation is one of the pillars of the fantasy complex industry. You know, animated movies, cartoons, and shit like that, comic books, video games, toys, all of that is underneath one quote unquote cabal. And they utilize all of those mediums to basically control people's subconsciousness. You know, that's how they do it. So that's the Universe 25. I hope that y'all learned something today about, you know, these people and the lengths that they go to. Okay. And remove that shit out of the realms of conspiracy and put it in the realms of fact. Put it in the realms of fact and do your diligence, do your research, go in deep dive. You feel me? Go and do a deep dive. I might go ahead and do a whole TikTok on this topic and whatnot. Try to crunch that shit into underneath 1 minute. But the people need to know about this. So I ain't gonna be here. I'm about to get out of here. We're at an hour and whatnot. On my Patreon and also on the YouTube, we have a 3-hour video that I did last night, like in the wee hours of the morning. And we also have a blue pill video that he did yesterday when he's still out there in Arizona and whatnot. So those are going to be good. There's about 4 hours worth of content that you could dive into. I said a lot in my 3-hour live last night that I uploaded to the YouTube, and it's also about to go on Patreon. I talked about the Yeezy album. I talked about Fanny. I seen Fanny on trial today. I seen Fanny on trial. You know what I mean? Fanny is under fire right now. They on her neck.
So
Pause.
she went there. You need to get a
Neck.
job.
You talking about? And Fanny got to defend herself. You
There's
dig?
separation, which included up to May the 30th, 2023. Isn't that correct, sir?
My answer to this interrogatory is none. Is none.
So you're saying that you did not have sexual relationships with anyone outside of your marriage, and the period of separation is during the period that you're answering the question to this interrogatory, correct, sir?
I'm saying during the course of my marriage, I did not have sexual relations to anyone, and this answer is no.
Well, again, Your Honor,
I understand. You can proceed, Mr.
We need a yes or no. Let's just get down to it. Did you or did you not, by May the 30th, 2023, have had sexual relations with Miss Willis, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what you did is you answered no to that question, didn't you, or none, correct?
I didn't answer no to the question you just asked. I answered no to the interrogatory question.
And the interrogatory stands that you answered as a pleading in a civil proceeding, your divorce case, right?
Yes.
Now, excuse me. The next interrogatory, let's move there.
So one thing and two things. Fannie Willis is a prosecutor, right? She used to be on the other side of the law, right? She used to be a defense attorney, but she's a prosecutor, right? She works with the police. And Miss Fanny is known for not prosecuting cop killers in Atlanta. Miss Fanny does not get behind. They killed that man for Cop City. There was an innocent person that lost their lives. They Swiss cheese that man. They killed the pastor out here. They killed a few people out here. The man in front of Wendy. There's a lot of bodies that been dropping out here, and Fanny be turning the other cheek. You know what I'm talking about? She be turning the other Fanny on us. Fanny is she's down with the boys and whatnot, and Fanny's in a hot chair right now. She's in a hot seat. I don't have no love for the fucking DA, so you're not gonna get anything from me. I don't give a fuck if she was blue black with a bone in her nose. Like, and what the fuck does that mean? You know what I'm talking about? Like, once again, I don't move off of the color shit. I don't give a fuck about that. That doesn't move me. Like, what does that mean? You know, Fanny and them, they went and barked up a tree that they probably had no business barking up. And that tree happens to be the Donald Trump tree. And that tree is going to fall on top of her. And, she's been discredited. She's a laughing stock of her peers now. What was once a possible political career is now in full jeopardy. Okay, unless she has a miraculous bounce back from this and she's able to clean up her image. But as it stands right now, her shit is shot. Okay, her shit is shot. And the probabilities of Donald Trump being able to be exonerated as of today are very high. You know what I mean? They just cross-examined her lover, which was that man right there. And they also spent the day cross-examining her. Okay. She was pushing back. She was shooting back. But one thing's for certain and two things for sure, she was utilizing taxpayer money to carry on an affair with another public servant and whatnot. And they're both happen to be on Donald Trump's case. God damn it. It don't get no more niggerish than that. You know what I'm talking about? So Donald Trump obviously is playing his poker card, his joker card. He knew something about how she was moving all the way back when he got arrested. He alluded to the fact that she was romantically involved with one of the individuals who were deceased in the Young Thug and YFN Lucci beef, right? There was one of the big dogs, I believe his name was Nut. He was and his murder was the reason why these two warring factions were at each other's necks for about 4 to 5 years. It was the murder of this dude who was the manager of YFN Lucci, and Donald Trump eluded that Fanny was secretly involved with this man because remember Fanny was a district attorney before. No, before she became a district attorney. She was a public defendant and she was actually picking up YSL cases. Okay, she was fucking with the drug dealers and the hustlers and the pushers and whatnot, and then she became the prosecution. So she flipped the aisles and whatnot. They flipped the aisles and whatnot, but her whole shit is tainted right now. You feel me? Her whole shit is tainted. Yes, the former founder, and he had Fanny representing him. Correct. Fanny represented one of the former founders of YSL and then turned around and threw the Rico at that nigga. Like, I don't get it, but hey, you might be better than me in these places. I don't have the bar. I didn't pass the bar exam. I didn't take that oath and whatnot. So I don't know. But what I do know is look crazy right now. And yeah, it's looking real crazy. You know what I mean? We about to be smoking on that fanny pack in a minute. You know what I'm talking about? We about to be, I'm getting right now. Yeah. The DA was like, I want to right now. So, her business is all in the streets. You know, her business is all in the streets. They got all kind of jokes on her. You know, did she set up YFN Lucci? YSL? Why? You know what, man? You know, I noticed she was super adamant about locking up Young Thug, and now I understand why. Like, she made that her number one priority. But you know, who knows? Jeffrey might he might have one more rabbit ear in his motherfucking pocket. He might be a lucky one. He might be able to pull one off with this one because it ain't looking too good in these streets. I want to remind everybody February the 26th, we are going to be welcoming our good brother Brick City Buddha, who I'm going to have either on IG Live or I'll invite him to the show so you could get a taste of what he has to offer. But briefly before I get out of here, let me go ahead and show you
Detroit.
to the good brother for everybody who may not be familiar with him.
These are some of the main reasons why women stop having the desire to want to have sex with their mate. I've been doing a lot of content pushing back against the paradigm. A woman is just supposed to give us sex whenever we want it. We got to start to become investigative on why that quotient of our relationship is no longer desirable for our women. First and foremost, lack of emotional availability, inquisitiveness, intimacy. Before we even get to the question of can we have sex, are you noticing walking them through what may be heavy on them emotionally? A lot of times men are not doing that due diligence. When we do it, it's another form of non-sexual intimacy. Stimulates the sacral chakra, directly connected between sexual prowess and emotional buildup. When they emotionally backed up, that effort we give to helping them through that process will prevent us from being sexually backed up. They have more room for that sexual component. Another reason is frequency. We want it too much. If you keep hitting the turbo mode on the video game, eventually the gas gonna run out. I've heard men say, I need it every day, multiple times a day. It's a lot of pressure. It ends up feeling obligatory. These are some of the main reasons why women stop having the desire to want to have.
Yeah, my dude be going in, you know what I mean? Brick City Buddha, he ain't no slouch, you know what I'm talking about? And he, you know, he's just touching on some things that women really they could relate to, you know what I mean? So we don't pander, you know what I mean? But we definitely are here to assist in the healing process and also in the bridge building process because there's mad bridges that have been burnt. So we out here rebuilding some of those bridges and we just got to keep it real. So I'm with the balance. I'm all with the balance. I ain't no one trick pony and neither is this platform. So we brought Six Goddess through. She shook the room. She damn sure shook the room. She put a lot of points on the board. And we not about to be debating with nobody. This is not about I'm a have the brother go. This ain't battle rap. This is about complimenting the message. You feel me? Complimenting the message and making sure that somebody out there is able to get what they need so they can move on. You know what I mean? So I ain't gonna hold y'all. I'm about to tap out and whatnot. I will see you on Melanin Monday. That's not the live one. That will be Melanin Monday via how we doing it right here in cyberspace. Um, yeah. So sacrilegious Sundays, we might do that as well if I'm not, you know, running around out of town. Sacrilegious Sundays coming up. Um, hopefully Blue Pillar will do Mineral Ministries if he's back in town. So yeah, just make sure you have your notifications on. If you're not following this channel, make sure you go and follow it. This is going to be the channel that we're going to be building out with the Know to Ledge content. Know to Ledger is going to be more for technology. I'm going to be bringing my blurred, my blurred program for all of my techies, my blurs, my coders, my developers, all of that. That's going to be on Know the Ledger. This channel right here, Know the Ledge 44, this is going to be the resurrection of the channel that they took away. So look forward to more content coming through on here. I'm going to be doing more content coming through on this specific channel. So rock out with us, support us. My Patreons, I fuck with y'all, fuck with me. You know what I mean? Rock out. You know what I'm saying? We got some things coming your way too. So keep your ears open and whatnot. And with that being said, love and light to the family. Stay dangerous. All right. Hit up the Cash App, Richfield44. Show some love. And I will see y'all very shortly. Peace.